bought this 2x2 that's really 1.5 by 1.5, and the plan is to just use this for the side foot here, and it'll end about here, and there's a little piece also that kind of matches up with this bevel on the base to kind of tie that all together. So I'm going to use the table saw over there to basically cut it to length and then cut the 1/2-inch bevels onto it. So here you can see them in place. They need a little sanding, obviously, but now I just need to make the little triangle that goes to fill in the gap here. And this is like 2-inch by 1 inch. So that piece needs a little sanding too, but you can see that it fits perfectly to match up that bevel to where the front of the foot hooks up. So as you can see, I've started cutting out this side. I did the same trick, except my straight edge thing did not run the whole width, so I'm using a board that I cut with the straight edge, so I know it's super straight to cut these lines. I just need to cut this out with the jigsaw like you saw in the first video. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I've actually drawn out the whole side on here. My original plan was to piece this together. But I don't know that I'm going to do that. I think if I want it to look like several pieces, what I'm going to do is use like a router bit or some sort of chisel and just do a line and then just paint it different colors. But you can see here, this line and this line, this is the full size of the side, whereas before I was just going to cut out this little strip and then attach this piece, this piece, this piece, and that piece to it. That was pretty ambitious, so I think what I'm going to do is go this route and hopefully still achieve the same effect. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do for the monitor, which is why I'm building this before I put out the plans, so hopefully that's going to come together. So for this final cut, I just wanted to show how I've been getting the guideline for these angled lines. So what I have is a straight edge, and I just line this up like this, and draw a line out. And then come down a little bit further and draw another line out, and then I flip this guy over and measure out 5 1/16. That's the size of my circular saw's guide plus the blade, and then I just draw. I've been using dash lines, but this one's so far out it doesn't matter. Just draw a line. Then I line up my piece of wood, I clamp it down, and when I get the circular saw lined up, I make sure that where this line is not going to get cut, so that the blade is running right along that line. And if it's not right, then I'll just readjust and then do it so that I get this perfect cut. So it didn't go perfectly. I need to touch that up, probably with a little bit of sand, like a sanding block. Same goes for this back edge here where I had to cut that out with a jigsaw. So once I get this piece fixed up, what I'll do is that same clamping trip. So that side completely cut out, I have fixed up the front here in this connection in the back using some sandpaper. So what I'm going to do is now trace this again 3 more times, obviously probably only twice on this board, and then I have another board to get 4 of these. And then I will use that flush trim bit to make them all the same exact size. So here we are back working on the sides. Unfortunately, my neighbor is blowing leaves. There's always something going on in this neighborhood. So as you can see here, I have my good, nice, perfectly cut out piece sitting on top of my piece that I cut out with a jigsaw. And they actually need to be flipped, but what I'm going to do is screw them together so that when I flip them over they don't move and I don't have to worry about aligning them too much. And then of course I'm going to do that same router trick that I used for the 2 sides of the base. So I'm going to screw it real quick and then you'll see me doing some routing to make these 2 pieces exactly the same. So you can see I have the router bit set up. The cut blade is just long enough to make it past the bottom of the board, and this bearing is going to run along the good cut down here at the bottom. So as you can see, I've used the flush trim bit, and those two pieces are now exact matches to each other. I've also created a lot of dust. I probably should have trimmed these two pieces closer together because I ended up taking a lot more material off than I thought I was going to, which created so much dust. But I'm actually going to unscrew these now and use them as a template for the other two pieces I have remaining to cut. Okay, so I have both sides done. The next thing I'm going to do is route those angles on the front. It shouldn't be too hard. I'm going to use the 1-inch 45-degree bevel that I have, that giant thing, first. That way I'll have this edge right here for the wheel to run along, to take off basically this whole top half of the board, and put a 45-degree on that, and then I will go and do the 1/2-inch one, which should leave me that 1/4-inch straight piece in the middle for that wheel to run along for the 1/4-inch. So it shouldn't be too bad. I'm going to get that set up, and I will show you what that looks like. So I just did a test with my router, and you can see this side is the 3/4-inch bevel that goes right to where that MDF piece stops, and then this is my 1/2-inch that leaves a 1/4-inch right there. So the wheel does run along like I thought it was going to. So now the only thing left to do is set up my sides, decide which one is the left, which one is the right, and route them accordingly. Okay, so this is my 1-inch router bit that I'm using to do the 3/4-inch bevel along what is the outside of the side here. Now, while the train goes by, here is the 1/2-inch route. So here you can see the finished product. We've got this cool asymmetrical bevel where this is a 3/4-inch bevel and this is a 1/2-inch bevel, leaving about a 1/4-inch flat in the front. So I think this looks a lot cooler than my original cabinet that had, 1/2 inch on both sides. It gives it that cool look that looks more like an actual Vewlix cabinet.